I'm Matt Bouchard with REIT.com here in San Diego for REIT World 2012. Joining me today is Philip Charls, the CEO of the European Public Real Estate Association. Philip, thanks for joining us. I want to start by looking at the large pension funds across Europe and get your opinion on their attitudes towards investing in listed real estate, specifically REITs, versus direct investment.
We did a survey this summer asking a number of the big institutional investors and pension funds, how do you view listed and REITs in particular as part of the asset allocation or in any other way? And it's interesting that 60% of them answered yes, we view them as real estate, which was up 5 years ago with the same survey, and then 40%. So it's just a substantial increase. Now, having said that, we see big differences in Europe. You have players like APG, known to everybody, one of the biggest pension funds in the world. They have about 25 billion exposure to real estate, 50% to the indirect and 50% in listed. You take a similar size of player like Allianz, one of the biggest insurance companies in the world. They have the same size of portfolio in real estate, and they have almost 100% dedications to direct. So big differences. Another example, Norges Bank, very positive example by the way. They decided only 5 years ago to get real estate exposure. And recently, I think about 12 months ago, they decided to include listed in that real estate exposure. So that's really a major move forward.
And obviously with Europe continuing to face financial crisis, what role can listed real estate play in that recovery?
We see three important countries in Europe where we do see opportunities: Germany, Italy and Spain, both completely different. Then we start with the first one, Germany. Germany has issues, not a crisis, not distress of course, like in Italy and Spain, but has issues with regard to German open-ended funds. That creates a fantastic window of opportunity for us. Not to say that the German open funds are bad. I mean, every country has its own investment culture with regards to real estate, so they should continue to along that road, obviously with amendments and all that. But it's very important for us to make clear to the German government and whether it's federal or local government, that it is important to have an alternative. And listed is a perfect alternative, whether it is for institutions or for retail customers. So that's what we're doing. Italy and Spain are obviously completely different. We talk about the peripheral country. It's good to keep in mind that if you look at the EPRA Europe index, this whole bit, Greece, Spain, Italy, is only not even 2% of the index. So there the risk is, I would say, is minimal. But there are opportunities. The Italian government has announced that they will offload assets because they have a huge government debt. They need to decrease it. And if we look at quality real estate, we talk probably about 2 to 3 billion that might be of interest. And we have been talking to the government. We've been asked for our advice on how should listed vehicles, should they look like. So we've had that opportunity 2 or 3 times. We talked to them, and it's going to be played out, I think, in the next 6 months. Very interesting development. The other hand, Spain, it's very much like the savings and loan situation in the 90s in the US. A lot of the real estate is sitting in the book of the bank, so something needs to happen. There, I think the timeline is definitely longer. We're talking about, I think before it starts moving, probably 18, 24 months. But there is opportunity there as well.
And it sounds like it's at the government level is sort of the biggest impediment to some of these things taking shape. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's correct. And I think that's exactly where, if you look where things can go wrong, I would say in Europe that would be bureaucracy and red tape, over-regulation. We see some of that in Europe. You might also see some knee-jerk reactions from local governments, but that's the reason we as EPRA and also national associations are very active in explaining what our contribution to society is. I mean, in the past we used to focus on the financial aspects of our industry solely, and think now it's time to explain what do we contribute to society. On the listed side, we specifically explain how we contribute to city refurbishment. Young people and also older people who are retired like to live in cities, so they like to live in nice, comfortable cities, and the listed space does a fantastic job in creating nicer inner cities. Very important. We explain what we do with regard to sustainable built environment. Again, listed REITs are leading in that aspect. So these are very important numbers, and of course, last but not least, we talk about the financials. If you look at the last 20 years, total returns are 9.4%, very impressive, and it is a long long-term, stable income-producing asset class, and that's exactly what the pension funds need. And pension funds are in need of these type of assets. I mean, we are living in a graying environment, so that's a huge fit in the present situation.
Great. Well, Philip, thank you so much for joining us today.
A pleasure.
For more on this and other REIT news and analysis, be sure to visit REIT.com.